Once again, welcome. My name is Luisa Castillo, and our topic for tonight's webinar is Mapping Dreams, the Transition to Independent Living. This is actually the first section of our Mapping Dreams series. And this event is part of our Connections California Transition to Adulthood, a project of Parents Helping Parents. The webinar was actually created by Pacers National Parent Center on Transition and Employment. So many of you may have not heard of Connections California. So briefly, I want to tell you that this is a central network of information completely online, and it's available in English and Spanish. It's focused on adult planning for people with disabilities. Here we understand, how overwhelming and complex the transition to adulthood can be for people with disabilities of any kind, both for themselves and for their families and allies. So we invite you to browse our site to learn more about the various topics related to adulthood. The website will be shared on the chat as well so that you can browse it at your own time. Now to continue, I would love to allow Karen to do the takeaways for today.
Thank you, Luisa Maria. In this presentation, we will explore what families and youth can do to help plan for the student's transition from high school to adult employment, post-secondary education or training, and independent living. We have divided this presentation into 3 sections, and tonight we'll be focusing on transition to independent living. One of the tools you can use in paving the way to a successful future is the school transition process. We will also provide suggestions for your family to use at home and in the community. The transition your child will make from being a child to becoming an adult member of the community is an important journey and one that requires a plan. It's important to begin thinking about your child's transition to adult life as early as possible. Your child will need to make many significant decisions during this journey to adult life. By using this presentation as a starting point, you can help your child make those decisions and plan for life after high school. Factors that are linked to post-high school success. The National Longitudinal Transition Study cites 7 characteristics that are linked to post-high school success for youth. As I read this list, listen for how many of them are related to areas where parents have a lot of influence. The 7 characteristics are performing the acts of daily living well, getting together with friends weekly, participating in a school club or sport, avoiding suspension, taking a college entrance or placement exam, having recent paid work experience, and having parents who expect the student to live independently. In a student's transition to adulthood, parents clearly play an important role. Parents are forever. Why are parents and families so important? Well, you have the history to carry forward into adulthood. You have been parenting and have been a member of the Individualized Education Program, or IEP, team since the beginning. You know what's worked and what hasn't worked so well. You know about your child's whole life, not just a slice of it. You have the big picture view. Parents are the keeper of high expectations that build upon the young person's strengths, interests, and needs. Parents also support and guide their children to make informed choices and decisions. Your involvement on the IEP team may formally end when rights are transferred to the student at the legal age of majority, which is 18 here in our state of California. Please keep in mind that parents often become the transition expert or case manager once the student graduates. So involvement in the school transition process will help parents understand options and gain needed skills. Students will begin to take on more responsibility, and parents will find new ways to provide support. It's important to remember that while the parental roles change when a student graduates from high school and reaches the age of adulthood, it does not end. A student's maturity, cultural values, and other individual characteristics will determine the kind of involvement and family support that is appropriate and helpful. The power of parent the power of parent involvement and high expectations. Does parent involvement really matter at this stage of the game? Research has shown that family involvement is a greater predictor of successful outcomes for youth than income or social status. In addition, students with one or more parents who participated in the IEP meetings during 11th and 12th grades were more likely to be engaged in post secondary employment. Students with parents who had high expectations were more likely to be engaged in post secondary education and employment. When families remain involved in their children's middle school and high school education, students are more likely to attend school regularly, have a positive attitude about school, earn higher grades, score higher on standardized tests, graduate from high school, and enroll in post secondary programs. Those successes matter in the long run. And that's a study from A.T. Henderson and K.L. Mapp. Experts on human development consider late adolescence a launching period when parents help youth develop skills they will need as adults. Parental roles change when a young person graduates from high school and reaches the age of adulthood. They do not end. So stay involved. Take an active and supportive parental role. Parent membership in transition planning is required and essential. Parents can provide a foundation for keeping the transition process grounded and focused on their child's individual strengths, needs, and preferences. Parents know their child's post secondary education or training and career ambitions and possible support needs. Parents may be able to identify family or community members who can provide additional support.
Thank you, Karen. So, as we've learned earlier, parental expectations are a key factor in a young adult's post-school success. The higher expectation is that people with disabilities will have equal opportunities for full participation in society. And here in the US, having high expectations for individuals with disabilities is not just a nice idea or wishful thinking, it's actually embedded in the civil rights law. And the Rehabilitation Act findings state disability is a natural part of the human experience and in no way diminishes the right of individuals to live independently, enjoy self determination, make choices, contribute to society, pursue meaningful careers, and enjoy full inclusion and integration in the economic, political, social, cultural, and educational mainstream of American society. So, as your student begins transitioning towards life after high school, legislation such as Section 504 and the ADA, Americans with Disability Act, related to employment, post-secondary education, and community living will take on greater significance. And we're going to be talking more about that as we move forward. So what can parents do now? Well, federal law supports early transition planning for children with disabilities beginning no later than age 16. And the Individuals with Disability Education Act, which is known as IDEA, requires that all children with disabilities have available to them a free appropriate public education known as FAPE that provides special education and related services. And these services are designed to meet their unique needs for and prepare them for employment, post-secondary education and training, and when appropriate, independent living. And this may include community participation, recreation and leisure, and home living. Parents, this is important to know, also transition. So you guys need to learn additional skills when your child enters the adult world after high school. Parents may need training on topics such as disability loss, fostering self-determination and decision-making skills, or adult service systems. And learning how to ask the right questions to the right people is also a key skill. So we know that parents are often the investigators of what might be available far enough in advance in order to make decisions soon enough to prevent any gaps. And IEP team involvement may formally end when rights are transferred to the student. However, parents frequently become the transition expert, or you guys become the case manager once the student graduates. So, involvement in the school transition process will help parents understand what options are available and gain the necessary skills. Students will begin to take on more responsibilities, and parents will find new ways to provide these supports. Parental roles change when a young person graduates from high school and reaches the age of adulthood, but they do not end. So, some transition tips to take away are that everything will take twice as long as it's supposed to. So, it's good to plan ahead for that. And there's also going to be a lot of trial and error. So start early and try to always have a plan A and a plan B, where we know that there's always also a plan C, plan D, but you're going to have to recalculate at some point. So make sure that you plan ahead. Now, while parents are important, we have to remember that the student is at the center of the transition planning. As a teen moves forward to adulthood, the family and the IEP team will support the student as they look more closely at big questions. For example, will I go to college or another type of school to receive training after I graduate? What kind of work do I want to do? Where will I go to learn the skills to do that work? Where and how do I want to live? What will I want to do for fun? Where will I belong, or who will I hang out with? How do I get to places? And in order to achieve the desired results or outcomes, the student may also ask themselves, what skills do I need to learn? What supports will I need to have? Or who can help me get to where I want to go? So it's now time to start mapping dreams for the future. And let's take a look at some ways to do that at school and at home. So first off, you want to think of your child's current skill and experience level as the here, and their hopes for further education or training, employment, or independent living after high school as the there. So families of children with disabilities, we know that they want to help their children achieve their own dreams. And this requires early planning and the active involvement of your child as much as is possible in the process. As families, your involvement in the transition process can include becoming aware of options, inviting new people into your child's life, staying flexible, asking questions, and advocating for your child's needs. So when becoming aware of options, you'll have to explore what's possible. And it can be challenging to figure out what expectations to have for your child with a disability, especially when you want to have high expectations, but you don't understand what possibilities are available. So understanding what's possible is a great beginning step to creating a vision for your young person's future. And families need to know what's out there and the route to get there. Also, learning about possibilities. So it's important to meet or talk with other parents of older children with with your child's disability. This may be able to help. Also, checking out your area's independent living center, vocational rehabilitation center, disability organizations, Pacers National Parent Center on Transition and Employment website, and resources in your state, such as Connections California Transition to Adulthood, which is a statewide hub. If your child has a county social worker, they may also be willing to provide examples of how other young adults with similar needs are meeting their post-school goals in their community. And becoming an adult service detective. So you will do that by visiting maybe community colleges and meeting with the disability service staff about entrance requirements, accommodations, and supports needed if your child has a goal to attend post college or universities. Also, something else that parents can do is attend transition resource fairs as a family. Prepare questions and discuss what you've learned afterward. Connecting with other parents and sharing what you've discovered, joining support groups. And asking vocational rehabilitation service counselors, county social workers, and college disability service personnel to share success stories of other youth with your child's disability. And as you plan and help define clear goals and dreams with your child, you will increase, those chances of achieving them. So the good news is that in all of this, families don't have to do the planning alone. And we're going to see that in the next slide. Go on, Karen.
Thank you, Luisa Maria. Transition planning in the IEP often includes additional team members at the IEP meeting. The student, although the student's attendance at the meetings is not required, the school needs to invite them beginning at age 16. The student's dreams and goals will guide decisions about which transition services are needed. If your child does not attend the meeting, the team still needs their input. What can families do to support their youth's meaningful participation? Have a discussion about their hopes and dreams for the future. Use the checklists in this presentation to identify your child's strengths, needs, preferences, and interests before attending a meeting. Help prepare your child to attend the IEP meetings. Some students will be able to participate in their IEP meetings more than others. Many students find it helpful to prepare a brief PowerPoint presentation with the help of school or their family to communicate their strengths and goals to the rest of the team. Family. Parents must be must be invited to the IEP transition meetings and informed prior to the meeting that the discussion will involve transition issues. Parents know their child best and remain equal members of the IEP team until their child reaches the age of majority at age 18. Once the student turns 18, he or she assumes the rights the parents have had and can invite the parents to IEP meetings. The school is no longer required to invite the parents unless they have become legal guardians or conservators of the adult child. I encourage you to call your Family Empowerment Center to find out about other options, such as the student also assigning an educational decision making authority to a parent if they choose to do so via a written assignment of educational decision making authority form or letter. Additional school staff. When assessments or new evaluations are being discussed, a person who can interpret the results is required to be at the meeting. Other school staff may include transition staff, guidance counselor, work coordinator, and service learning coordinator. Others. With the parent's permission, or the student's after the student reaches 18 years old, the school must invite a representative of any participating agency likely to be responsible for providing or paying for transition services. This might include people such as a county social worker, a vocational rehabilitation counselor, post secondary school staff, and medical or related service providers. Parents or the students may invite anyone, including staff of other organizations with knowledge or special expertise about the student, such as family, friends, a mentor, or people in the community. Now, let's take a look at the transition planning process in the IEP. This graphic provides a kind of map of the secondary transitioning planning process in the IEP. The transition process begins with evaluation and leads to goals, services, and courses of study as steps on the pathway to achieve long-term goals for adulthood. Evaluation forms the foundation of the IEP. The IEP team, including parents and student, will collect information needed to determine the student's current skills and abilities, strengths, interests, and preferences, academic and functional activities of everyday life needs, long-term goals for learning, and the impact of the student's disability on reaching these goals. Using this information, the team will develop a program, the IEP, to help pave a path where the student is now, the here, to where he or she hopes to be in the future, the there. The IEP team uses age appropriate transition assessments, comprehensive evaluation, parent concerns, student input, professional, like school or other agencies' input, progress in regular and special education, state and district test results, etc., to identify the student's present levels of performance and then develop the IEP. The IEP must include long term, measurable post secondary goals in the areas of education, training, employment, and, if appropriate to the student's needs, independent living. Even though the student may not know what they want to do in the future, it's still important to begin to figure out some initial long term goals and what supports they may need to develop these goals. Working backward with the end result in mind, design school and community experiences to gain skills and connections needed to achieve outcomes. You can work with your IEP team to address these questions. What transition services in the form of annual goals, course of study, activities, supports, services, and linkages are necessary each year to move toward achieving the desired outcomes after high school? What extracurricular activities and enrichment opportunities might support the goals? When determining what activities and goals to include in the annual IEP, families will want to consider whether progress on the goal or with the activity will move the student closer to being ready to successfully pursue their high expectations for learning, living, and working as an adult. Create linkages. When other agencies or service providers will be involved with the student after graduation, the IEP should create the contacts and the links needed. Parents or students can request that the school invite individuals to participate in the IEP meeting, or they may invite them directly. Now it's time to take a look at how families can map dreams in each of the three transition areas. When parents think about the transition to adulthood, employment, or post secondary education is often their first consideration. It's also important to give careful thought to the skills youth will need to live as independently as possible. Independent living skills impact all areas of adult living. These skills affect opportunities to learn, work, and live full lives integrated into the community at large. Interdependence is also highly valued in families, communities, and work settings. Who of us doesn't need the support of a coworker, friend, or family member almost daily? For instance, will your child have the skills needed to participate in the community, help manage a home, take part in recreation and leisure activities? Not all youth will require support in this area on their IEP. Your child's goals in these areas are determined by the IEP team based on age appropriate formal and informal assessments, as well as input from you and the child. However, you will want to explore your child's needs and strengths in the area of independent living, regardless of school services. As you begin thinking about independent living options, consider how your child might be able to pursue the activities they have shown an interest in as an adult without the school or you providing direct support. For example, recreation and leisure activities, Once your child is an adult, staying involved in recreational activities may require more initiative. You can help your child by encouraging them to explore a variety of recreational and leisure activities available during school, after school, and in the summer. Talk to a school counselor to find out what activities are available at school. Appropriate extracurricular and non academic activities must be made accessible for students with disabilities. Try to use natural supports as much as possible, as this level of support is often needed when school ends. Find activities of interest at home, such as gardening, building projects, music, computer activities, writing poems or stories, arts and crafts, photography, reading, or fitness. Consider programs in your community. Some programs are for everyone, while others are specifically designed for people with disabilities. Examples of places to look for recreational opportunities include summer camps, community recreation programs, community education, Special Olympics, and centers for independent living. Community involvement. Being involved in the community and having a strong social network is an important aspect of your child's future independent life. Community participation helps build a sense of confidence and inclusion, and it's also a great way for them to make friends. Consider involvement in community theaters, museums, art galleries, places of worship, libraries, community education programs, park programs, and youth organizations. Research places to volunteer, including food pantries, recreation programs, nonprofit organizations, schools, hospitals, retirement homes, and one time community events, like a fundraiser. Identify activities that your youth currently enjoys in high school that can transfer to adult life, such as art, sports, theater, or movies.
Great. Thank you, Karen. Now let's move on into another option to explore, which is housing, and transportation. Research from the NLTS indicates that parents who hold the expectation that their youth will be living outside of their home by the age of 30 is a factor in successful adult outcomes. And it may be difficult, to imagine your child ever living outside your home. However, children often rise to our expectations, and the skills that you teach them now will help them be confident and capable of living as independently as possible. And home living means more than a place to live. It takes into account transportation, self advocacy, financial management, and medical and support services as needed. So, your child or young adult may develop independent skills in one, some, or in all these areas. You and your child will need to explore the areas in which they can be and want to be independent. Since housing is such a vital part of the independent living, you and your child should discuss all of the possibilities. For example, living at parents' home. Your child can still be somewhat independent in this situation, and families can set rules and responsibilities for every member in the household. Living in an apartment. If your child rents, they will likely not be responsible for maintaining the yard or the building. However, they will likely need to know how to live with roommates. Living in their own home. If your child buys a house, they will be responsible for all of the maintenance and repairs, but there is often more living space and freedom to make changes to the property. Then there's living alone with support services. Often a rental situation, this option allows for independent living with support staff. Then there's group homes. This is a place where small groups of people with disabilities live together. Usually an organization manages the home and hires staff to oversee activities of the residents. There's subsidized housing. Section 8 is the subsidized housing program of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, known as HUD. And that allows individuals to make reduced rent payments, and the government pays the remainder of the rent. And this is a good option for someone on the fixed income. However, there's also a waiting list. So it's something important to know. But you can check your independent living center for information on what is available locally and help you complete applications as needed. Now, for regional center clients, there may be more options with securing housing. There's supported living services in their own place, community care facilities that provide the needed services and support. There's independent living services if they're in a non-licensed home or apartment or are still living with their parents. And there's also day programs and tailored day services. Another program for regional center clients is the Self-Determination Program, SDP, and it's available to all regional center clients who want to create their own life plan and still have the support. This program allows clients for more freedom to develop and pay for their individualized services, which meet their needs. And Disability Voices United is a great place to begin that SDP journey. You can find more information on these options in our CCA page, in the Adult Life page. So we'll be sharing that information if you want to look more into it. Health needs. Health needs are a big part of an adult's life, and a person with a disability is no exception. So teaching your child to develop healthcare skills is crucial. Making sure that they know all of the medicines that they take, what medicine is for, and when to take it. There's different options to support them, like, for example, using a box of pills that for the day of the week that they can fill and use. Maybe they can help schedule a doctor's appointment, write down and record questions to ask the doctor, ask them to check in when they arrive for an appointment, and asking your young people to order their own prescription refills from the pharmacy. There's a great webinar up in our e-library, which is called Navigating Pediatric to Adult Healthcare. So we encourage you to look that up, which talks more about that transition from pediatric to adult healthcare. Now, for parents, there's also medical insurance options. Covered California, which can help with low-cost insurance. Medi-Cal, if the person qualifies for SSI. Application for Covered California, which is the same as for the Medi-Cal. Medicare can be also an option for some adults with disabilities. There's Denti-Cal and other dental insurances that are also available through Covered California. For mental health, there's a lot of other resources and types of therapies, that can support the child. So, attending support groups and also learning and teaching about adult self-care skills at an early age is crucial. And again, you can find all of this information and look more into it in our Adult Life page. Another very important area to explore during adult life is financial planning or financial management. To develop financial skills, you can start by helping your child open a joint checking account with you, so you can teach them how to write a check, use debit cards, deposit money, withdraw cash. Although everything is done electronically now, you can do it the old school way and write the checks. Getting a copy of the apartment application and showing your child how to fill out that form is another way to teach them these skills. But protecting disabled adults' assets and benefits is crucial. And this is often called estate planning or financial planning. When you plan for the future, it may be valuable to get the advice of a lawyer or a public benefits consultant who is familiar with all of the options available, and also knowing the pros and the cons of each. Some options that can be considered, I'll mention them briefly, is CalAble accounts. This is a savings and investment plan offered by the state of California to people with a disability. Eligible individuals, families, friends, and employers can make contributions up to a maximum of $16,000 per year without affecting the public disability benefits that the recipient receives. It also provides tax-free treatment on earnings and withdrawals to pay for disability-related expenses, and not considered when determining a person's assets until the savings reach $100,000. Another important thing to know is the special needs trust, which can also be established for the individual. If your child has plans to open his or her own business or other goals and doesn't want his or her public benefits to be compromised, then this can be a good option. And the essential purpose of a special needs trust is generally to improve a person's quality of life without losing their right to receive public benefits. It's a tool that allows the individual who creates its truster or grantor to entrust certain assets to another person, which is known as the trustee or the executor, to be administered on behalf of a third person, who is known as the beneficiary. So again, you will find more information on financial planning in our adult life page, which is one of the categories for our CCA hub. Public benefits. This can play an important part in financial planning for the adult life for people with disabilities. And I'll mention some of the public benefits that your child can qualify for. Supplemental Security Income, or SSI. It can provide a monthly income for adults living with a disability if they qualify. There's videos in our e-library that explain more about the application process for SSI and other great topics, that we already have there or that were actually given in these last months. But look up the videos and you'll find very valuable information on the process. There's also SSI at Work Toolkit for a comprehensive guide to SSI rules for working people. CalFresh to help pay for food for those who receive SSI. Ticket to Work is another program that can help those who want to work and maintain their SSI benefits. There's in-home support services, or IHSS, which is another benefit that helps pay for things like house cleaning, meal preparation, and personal care services for those who qualify. There's also videos on the application process for IHSS and information on the process. And then also for the process on Medi-Cal and Medicare. Now let's go on with the legal aspects as another option to explore with Karen.
Thank you, Luisa Maria. How an adult with a disability makes important life decisions is the personal choice of that adult and their loved ones. Options exist to help both the child with a disability and their family members' circle of support. One is conservatorship. Conservatorship is a court process in which a judge decides whether you can take care of your own health, food, clothing, housing, finances, or other personal needs. The judge may prevent you from exercising some of those important rights. The judge may choose someone else to make decisions for you. The court calls that person a conservator. The person who is under conservatorship is called a conservatee. Conservatorships only apply to people 18 years of age and older. In California, there are 4 types of conservatorship. Among them is a limited conservatorship, which is for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The goal of a limited conservatorship is for the conservatee to be as autonomous and independent as possible. It allows for some rights to be kept so that the conservatee can make certain decisions related to their life. A judge will set out what decisions the conservator will make for the conservatee. Some alternatives to conservatorship. 1, supported decision making. This allows for individuals to get guidance and support without giving up their legal right to make decisions about their rights for their lives. Using supported decision making, a person with a disability chooses a trusted person or team to help them understand, make, and communicate their decisions. Another is power of attorney. A general power of attorney permits the agent or the named person to transact any or all business other than healthcare for the principal, as long as the principal is not incapacitated. A durable financial power of attorney is the same thing, except it remains active if the principal becomes incapacitated. There's also an advanced healthcare directive. This can also be called a durable power of attorney for healthcare. A person can use an advanced directive to express their wishes related to physical and mental health care and select someone to make healthcare decisions when the person is unable to do so. This also allows the agent to communicate with doctors and insurance on behalf of the person. Other things to consider by the age of 18: selective service. If a person is assigned male at birth, that person with a disability must sign up for selective service. This is how the military knows of all males who may be eligible to be drafted if a war occurs. A person's name stays on the list until the age of 26, and many federal aid programs require proof of signing up for selective service if eligible to receive their benefits. Registering to vote. Another important thing to do is register to vote. At 18, your young adult's voice counts. Let them be heard. In California, you can pre-register to vote at ages 16 to 17. Then at 18, you're automatically registered to vote. Official government IDs are an essential for any adult. There's a passport or a passport card, which is necessary for travel outside of the United States. A passport is a valid government ID that is good for 10 years once you get it. Or a California state driver's license or state ID card. You can get applications in person or online at local Department of Motor Vehicles, or the DMV. DMV also has a disability services division. Talk to each other. One of the handouts from this talk that will be sent to you is Talk to Your Youth About Independent Living, a checklist for parents. Use it to discuss questions with your child, such as, where do I want to live? What do I want to do in my community? What are my favorite recreation and leisure activities? How do I connect with people in my community? What are 3 activities that I would like to do in the future? Decide together what information you would like to share with the IEP team. Discussing these questions and understanding the options available will help your young adult to set some independent living goals or destinations. The next step is to begin to map a course.
Thank you, Karen. So setting a destination and mapping a course. Youth can definitely practice independent living skills while living at home. And although it's often faster and easier to do it yourselves or ourselves, including your child, in the many activities required to run a household, go to work, and live independently in the community, is the only way to build the needed skills. So include your child when cooking, cleaning, shopping. Give them a list of groceries to buy and assign household chores. As we mentioned before, and some of the options to explore, when helping them develop skills for medical needs, for example, letting them know or teaching them what medications they take, if they take any, what they are for, and how to take them, and try using a days of the week pill box, which they can fill in and help use. As far as medical needs, also helping them or allowing them to schedule doctor appointments and write down and record questions to ask the doctor, or checking in, when they arrive. Also, when teaching them about financial planning skills, we mentioned teaching them how to write a check, using a debit card, depositing and withdrawing cash, obtaining a copy of apartment applications to show them how to fill them, out. And also for the community, showing them how to read a bus schedule and taking a trip to the store, practicing what to do in emergency situations and who to call for help, looking for ways to turn interests into real skills and social experiences. If attending movies is one of your child's favorite community activities, making the most of it, and helping your child to make plans to invite a friend and decide on a plan for transportation, and from the to and from the movies. For some youth, There may be other public agencies that can help them map the course. So your child may need ongoing support to live in the community, and programs offered through the county should be explored while your child is still in school, and linkages should be established. Many public agencies may have eligibility requirements, fees, and waiting lists. And the Developmental Disabilities Assistance and Bill of Rights Act, DD Act, requires that states provide services and supports to people with developmental disabilities and their families. These services could include case management through the county, assistance when applying for benefits, including SSI, medical assistance, semi-independent living centers services, and assistance with housing, social, and recreational needs. County services may also be available for children with mental health needs, and eligibility is determined by medical diagnosis, living arrangements, needs, and other criteria. So contact other adult service providers that do not require eligibility, such as the Centers for Independent Living or disability-specific groups. These can actually help with teaching self-advocacy, providing written materials and other resources, offering peer support or support groups, giving ideas for assistive technology, and providing disability-related assessment resources. So setting a destination and mapping a course may look different for all types of people. So that is why it's important to talk about it, as we mentioned, and setting this destination along with your child, creating these conversations. We really hope that you enjoyed this information tonight. We mentioned that one of the things that must be done is becoming a detective of resources, researching what's available. And one place to start is, your resources in your state. Here is Connections California, which is our hub, and I know Alyssa has shared it plenty of times in the chat already. So please, go there, get information, resources, look up transitions depending on the goals that you have set for your child. There's different modalities, of learning, videos, website links, packets, and information. So educate yourselves in order to confidently prepare for your children's adulthood and ease the stress. This is going to lead to successful outcomes. And we have also added a list of state-specific resources that you can look at your own time. We will be emailing this within the next day or two. So look out for that information that you can navigate. Here's another. So there's 2 pages full of resources, in your state. And know that long after the last teacher or therapist has disappeared from your child's life, you're the one that's always going to be there to support and encourage them. Will he or she be prepared for the future? Well, you can make the difference now by asking questions, by helping develop your youth school program, and supporting their learning of skills in the home and community. Dreaming and hoping and seeing potential where others don't, that's the role of the family. So believe in the capability of your child, cultivate patience, and view your child's future with anticipation and optimism. And remember that children often live to our expectations. What we do for them today has lifelong implications and benefits. So thank you very much for attending this presentation. Your child is very, very fortunate to have you involved and be an informed parent supporting them on their journey to adulthood. So with that, we're going to leave you with their contact information here. You can contact us at any time. You can email us, or if you need direct assistance, remember that you can call our office at Parents Helping Parents.